one for each one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walk around the campus of Hillsdale High School in San Mateo and you'll notice something different. The teachers, principal, and students here truly know each other in a way that's often hard to find in a big public high school.
I went to high school myself back in the 90s, and I remember what it was like where you're just going from class to class to class. And you would have some connections with some teachers, but there wasn't, at least in my experience, that one location, that sort of go-to, almost counselor that you could talk to if you were having personal problems or friend problems or academic problems.
Hillsdale High used to be one of those traditional schools, but in the mid-2000s, it won a couple of grants to change it into what it is today, a small learning community.
The idea of small learning communities really began to take hold in the 1990s, and many cities across the country, including especially New York City, began to break up the big factory model warehouse high schools that we inherited from the early 1900s into smaller learning communities where teachers and kids would be together in a group of 300 or 400 students and organized by teaching teams so that kids really couldn't get lost, couldn't fall through the cracks, were well known by their teachers, and were really in a much more personalized setting.
Linda Darling-Hammond is the president of the Learning Policy Institute and professor emeritus of Stanford University. She collaborated with Hillsdale High to shake up the traditional big public school concept. How did they do it? With a house system.
Anytime I explain to my friends, I say that the house system's like Harry Potter, where as freshman year, the students are sorted into different houses.
As freshmen, you are divided into one of 4 houses, which are Florence, Kyoto, Marrakesh, and Oaxaca. And I'm in Florence. And so each house has its set of teachers, which you keep for 2 years until you become a junior and senior.
And then as students move into the upper division, they get a new set of teachers and a new advisor for their 11th and 12th grade. And those are Timbuktu, Cusco, and Jakarta House. So they reflect cities from around the world and cultures from around the world that also come to Hillsdale.
I had to present a concept called the Doppler effect to my
Today, students are practicing and presenting their senior capstone projects.
And we consider that when these avenues of voting are becoming more popular nowadays.
These projects are 4 years in the making and required to graduate. It's another unique aspect of student life here at Hillsdale High. And there's something else. Each student is assigned an advisor that will stick with them for 2 years. Even the principal, Jeff Gilbert, is an advisor to a class of about 30 students, giving him a chance to get to know them on a personal level.
I think that schools in general have a lot of relationships that are very broad but not very deep. And for us, it's about making sure that when we know students, we know them in a very deep manner.
It makes it feel like I'm getting more attention since the teachers don't have to focus on as many students. You can get closer with your teachers, and they really get to understand your style and the way you work.
So each subject page has its portfolio piece, and then you're going to...
Ninth grader Gwendolyn is in advisory class with teacher Johnny Sao. He's also their math teacher. But the focus of advisory class is not schoolwork, it's more about life lessons.
Coming in as 9th graders, students are generally scared. It's high school, it's big, and everybody's tall. And the advisory helps them feel like they have a home at school. There's some students who, on the first day of school, they were in my classroom every day. At lunch, they were there. At brunch, and there. And I was kind of like, don't you have friends and stuff? But I realized they just needed a place that was like a home base for them to feel comfortable.
Feeling safe and feeling positive about the environment and the people in it actually promotes better learning. If you are anxious, if you feel you don't belong, if you feel stigmatized, if you're afraid, all of those things impede your learning.
I'm excited to show you guys what I've worked on and what you've helped me with.
I'm confident you're going to do well because...
My advisor, Mr. Silva, he was the first person I saw. He was the first person that I had a connection with. He was somebody who pushed me, and I knew that he was pushing me because I could do better. Freshman and sophomore year, I really didn't care about school that much, so Mr. Silva was always one person to tell me that I can do it. I can do better than I'm doing.
Mariella says having a supportive teacher helped her come out of her shell, and it shows. She confidently defended her bilingual capstone project on this day, finding out later that she passed.
In a small learning community, teachers can check in with kids. And if they're having a problem, they can immediately figure out how to help that student get recalibrated, get the help that they need.
This approach helped place Hillsdale High on the list of best high schools in the nation in U.S. News & World Report magazine. But it's not just students who thrive in a small learning community. The teachers say they do too.
Every decision, for the most part, is made by the faculty. So any wonderful new system or difficult new system that we take on, we have ownership over because we collectively came to that decision.
Everything from the house system to teacher evaluations to the capstone projects. All were decisions made by the faculty as a whole, but they were done with a singular goal in mind: what's best for the students.
I think the purpose of public education is to create citizens who can be positive, contributing members in a democratic society. We want to develop young people who you would like to move in next to you as your neighbor.
Every child is known. Every child is supported, and the work that they come to school to do is engaging and interesting and important work for them.